Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to some more World of Warships, and today we are saying goodbye to the Tier 9 U.S.S.R. destroyer, the Udaloi. And I will have to say, for whatever reason, me and this destroyer just do not seem to get along. Now, she is very similar to the previous line, back when the Russian line was actually one line instead of two, a split branch. But main difference is going to be her AA and the ability to actually use defensive fire. Let's quickly take a look at the map. We are playing on hotspot, and I will have to say Wargaming has, I don't know, big issue with putting the spawn on these ships. Think they have gone through 3 or 4 iterations on where to put the spawn. We do have a Essex, Montana, Kurfürst, Grosso, Ismo, Bismarck, Hindenburg, Donskoy, Shimakaze, Udaloi, and 2 Benson. On the enemy team, there is a Taiho, Kurfürst, Yamato, Iowa, Grosso, Bismarck, Hindenburg, Neptune, Edinburgh, Shimakaze, Fletcher, and a Benson. I am joined with 2 good friends of mine, Brandon in these Donskoy, which he's actually currently working on, and Jay and the Montana. Now the the Udaloi, if you go for the right captain skill, can get the firing range on its guns, or on its AA guns, out to 6.2 kilometers. Now the Shimakaze is in at A and has just now spotted the enemy Fletcher. We do have a friendly Hindenburg right behind us. Looks like that Fletcher has popped smoke and is deciding to hide 2 incapacitations on that Fletcher. Very nice. Now one little side note. See this Kurfürst? This Kurfürst is essentially useless, but fortunately for us, he's not the only tier 10 battleship on this map that is essentially useless to his friendly team. But anyways, besides that, big thing about the Udaloi, her speed's pretty decent, but main thing I guess I have to say is her turning circle radius. Just watch how long it takes for us to turn. Her torpedoes, you have 3 torpedo tubes each, 5 torpedoes. 1 on starboard, 1 on port, and 1 central line, so you can get at least 2 off on one side and then turn the other way to get the other. But look how long and how big this turning circle radius is. Now the turning circle radius is a major factor because close quarters, this is something she's not particularly good at. Obviously American destroyers are far superior as far as their turning circle radius. Torpedoes are dropped. Now I will have to say, I did not know this Fletcher actually came out of his smoke. Still expecting him to be in the smoke screen, and there he is, actually currently grounded on that island, and of course everyone's focusing him down right now. Even the Essex is getting in on this kill, and it looks like the Ismo with his secondaries does take out the enemy Fletcher. But at the exact same time, while this was all occurring, we did lose our friendly Bismarck to the enemy Taiho, probably due to the fact not as good defensive AA against planes, and Taiho's planes are pretty good. Their torpedo bombers are pretty good. Now we are being currently spotted by the enemy Hindenburg's Hydro. Definitely want to try to sell away as quickly as possible. He is currently on the other side of the island. The Kurfürst is pushing down. He's still full health. I'm going to try to keep an eye on how much health he has at the end of this battle, because I'm actually kind of curious. So we are starting to cap. The enemy team did cap B, but it looks like they are starting to lose B, and we just took out the enemy Iowa. Very nice. Good job, Benson. So I go ahead and drop my own smoke screen. Now, this might not have been a particularly great place. My original hope was that the enemy Hindenburg will come around this island and therefore allow the Ismo to open up without expecting any return fire. But it looks like that Hindenburg is actually turning away, and the Kurfürst still hasn't taken any damage. Oh, good lord. I'm going to have to try to keep an eye on that. Now, the enemy Kurfürst is very low on health. It looks like he has taken a significant amount of damage, possibly from that Shimakaze. Now, we have not done a lot in the ship. We've only done around 3,449 points of damage and assisted 1 base capture, but that will change here in a little bit. Looks like Jay does get the kill on that Kerfer, so we are definitely ahead in ships. Easily so, because they lost a tier 10 battleship and a tier 9 battleship versus a tier 8 battleship for us. So the Hindenburg is coming around the corner. Still around 9 kilometers. Now, the Udaloi's torpedoes are only 8 kilometers. That's something to keep in mind. Without any additional concealment expert on your captain, you can't invisifire. With that in mind, you can use this tactic where you drop torpedoes on a ship that is coming towards you and still remain undetected. Now, unfortunately for me, I am not particularly lucky. It looks like that Hindenburg is actually starting to pull away, so I do open up on this Hindenburg and hoping he might come after us, but it doesn't look like that's the case. But we did attract the attention, but watch this. And Citadel. Yep, a Citadel from Udaloi at a Hindenburg over 10 kilometers away. Not bad. Now it looks like the we have attracted the enemy CV's planes. Here they come, and this is the beautiful thing about the Udalois. It does have the ability of using defensive fire, which definitely helps with the spreading of torpedoes and drops from dive bombers. Ooh, that was close. Main thing whenever you're experiencing being dropped on by an enemy CV, slow down. Don't always go full speed. Take your, well, I mean, you can't really take your time, but slow down when you need to turn in a little bit more tightly, because if you don't, you have a bigger turning circle radius. So our team is well ahead in ships and well ahead in points, even though that the enemy team have had B for a while as well as A. Now we have Jay and his Montana pushing out. Brandon did take a lot of damage from the enemy Yamato. This enemy Yamato, he is actually currently hiding down in that area, playing as essentially Lanta. Now we do see the Shimakaze. He does pop up for a second, but it looks like he instantly dropped his smoke screen and disappeared. And gonna go ahead, try to drop on the Shimakaze, not like these hit, but you never know. Now, once again, this Yamato, I'm not a big fan of how this Yamato is playing. He's playing very, very passively. This is something you really don't want to be doing when you are a tier 10 battleship in general. Yes, there is a time to be actually cautious and aware of your positioning, but he's so far back, not being very beneficial to his team. Neptune does show up, and the AP, as you did see against that Hindenburg, is pretty decent. So unfortunately for us, it looks like that Neptune instantly started turning away, and we're going to go ahead and switch over to high explosive to try to at least get a fire. Fire would be nice for the most part, and it looks like we actually get a fire. Very nice. And it looks like, I believe Jay may have got a hit on that Neptune, and there is the enemy Shimakaze coming back out, trying to land a few hits on him. Would be nice to take him out, because more than likely he probably does have his torpedoes up, and Jay is pushing out quite heavily and does earn Confederates. Very nice there, Jay. And it looks like, just look at all this smoke screen. This is a time when you need a Donskoy to pop the radar, but unfortunately for us, Brandon just popped it, and unfortunately we weren't able to do a lot of damage. Now Brandon is now sunk. Unfortunately, just went down to the enemy Edinburgh. Jay is in quite a bit of pickle. Looks like the CV did try to drop on him, but fortunately he was within our AA defense, and we used our AA madness to the best effect, and fortunately negated most of that damage from torpedoes, keeping aware of essentially all the dive bombers. Fortunately, Jay is going to have to eat some bombs from that dive bomber, and he's not in a particularly great situation right now. Bismarck is now coming out. Torpedoes are inbound as well. It looks like Jay just ran aground, and unfortunately is going to go down to the Shimikaze's torpedoes. Go ahead, open up on this Yamato, and we're going to actually bring our attention over to this Bismarck. He's well within 8 kilometers, and I think I'm going to try to get out of there. Looks like the Yamato actually opened up at us as well. So we're just going to try to get the distance as quickly as possible and hope that this Bismarck, and actually I don't think this Bismarck does have manual secondary on his Bismarck, because we didn't get hit that lot. So torpedoes are actually looking pretty well. We might get 2 torpedoes, 3 if we're lucky. Let's see. Oh, looks like only 2, but that's 20,000, almost 21,000 points of damage right there. Go ahead and open up against this Bismarck, trying to take him out. See if we can actually get a kill. We haven't got a kill yet. That would be superbly nice, but unfortunately I think we will actually get the kill. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Switch our attention over to the Yamato, and we are joined with the Hindenburg and Ismo. Get a fire on this Yamato. Looks like the Yamato is currently focusing on the enemy, or the friendly Hindenburg. And once again, not a big fan of the way he was playing this. Now I do ask Jay or Brandon to do let the Ismo know that I will probably be dropping smoke just to try to assist him. It looks like the Ismo is slowing down, possibly. And I go ahead and start laying that smoke screen. Torpedoes are reloaded on one side. Hopefully we can get a spread off against this Yamato. Unfortunately, have to dodge these torpedoes coming in from the enemy Shimikaze. Torpedoes are out against the enemy Yamato, but we are extremely close to this Yamato. Probably need to get some distance. We have pissed this Yamato off. He has taken a few snapshots at us on multiple occasions. We might get 1 torpedo, and if he floods, which he just now did, he's going to be sitting on some flood damage for a while. And it looks like he's still on fire, so I think we actually might be able to take out this Yamato. Went ahead and dropped another spread of torpedoes just in case he does negate that fire, but it looks like the friendly Ismo does take him out, and yeah, pretty good. So go ahead, pull away. The Shimikaze is currently in at sea, but the Ismo has bigger fish to fry, bigger issues actually. Looks like the CV is dropping dive bombers, and torpedoes are coming in from the Shimikaze, and it's the Shimikaze that gets the Ismo, which is unfortunate. So gonna go ahead, try to move to sea. Once again, we know where the Shimikaze is. There he is, and open up. Maybe we can get another kill. That would be fantastic. Get some defended base capture right there. And unfortunately for us, it looks like the F6 is probably going to get him. And yes, does take out the enemy Shimikaze. Now, not a lot of ships are left on the enemy team, and we definitely racked up the damage quite quickly. 92,000, almost at 100,000. There is still the Fiddelgrosse, the Neptune, and the Taiho on the enemy team, but they are drastically behind in points, about 300 below, and we have now just recaptured B. B in this match definitely has been going back and forth between both us and the enemy. And once again, I'm really curious how much health this Kurfürst captain has. I don't know why that Benson's up there as well. So, as far as the Udaloi is concerned, she's a gunboat through and through. Treat her like a gunboat. Do not try to cap unless you do have support. I go ahead and try to point out, like, what the fuck are you guys doing? So anyways, finally in range on the Kurfürst. Was hoping to get a little bit closer, possibly do a little bit more damage, but gonna go ahead and open up because the enemy CV is flying his planes around, and AP unfortunately is not gonna do it against this Neptune. We're gonna see if we're gonna try to burn him down as quick as possible. He's currently bursting. I wonder if he's out of smoke. I bet you he's out of smoke. Unfortunately, he does disappear, and so we're gonna go ahead and switch our attention over to this enemy Grosso. And I have to say, I love that name, Ramenstein. Ah, good band. I love Ramenstein. Anyways, continuing on the output of HE against this Grosso, and now normally the shells aren't the greatest damaging, but it's the fires that you want. You want these fires, and getting Demolition Expert is very beneficial because damage will really rack up very quickly. Fires will really rack up the damage very quickly, and it looks like we have now attracted the enemy Neptune. And here's a good tactic if you want to know, and I guess I probably should not be telling you this because I like playing my Neptune and my Minotaur. If you are a destroyer and you are facing off against a enemy British cruiser, go either bow in or turn away. You don't want to show your broadside that much because that's where the damage really comes out, because most part you can actually ricochet, and you can see we're doing fairly significant amount of damage. And here we're actually pulling away because this is allowing the travel time between us and him to increase even more. And unfortunately for him, he's just gonna be burned down. Do turn in to increase the distance, so we are in a better position, but the Neptune is finally down, and we are actually about to win this game. So overly, not too bad. So our team earned a victory. We brought home 394,197 silver, 6,667 XP, and 1,336 free XP. We did 125,717 points of damage, 180 shell hits, 3 torpedo hits, 7 plane shot down. So really big thing I guess I probably should also point out is the Udaloi is more geared towards taking down airplanes. Her AA is definitely a lot better than, say, the Tashkent. So overall, not too bad. 2 ships destroyed, 7 fires, 1 flooding, and 1 lonely little citadel. Again, I have to say that was a crazy citadel from that Hindenburg. 3 defended base capture and 1 assisted base capture. We earned second on the team with a base XP of 2,168. We did 29,000 against the Neptune, around 21,000 against the Bismarck. Yamato, we did around 42,000. Fidel we did around 16. Sheme around 7. And the Hindenburg around 5. So a lot of our damage was kind of spread out. More or less most of our damage was against that Yamato. High explosive damage was around 36,000. Armor piercing was around 10,000, and torpedoes was around 35,000. But the fires and the flood is, as you can see, pretty good. The same amount for the fires as compared to as our torpedoes, with 34,000, and flooding did around 10,000. So overall, not too bad. Now there has been a change to how the economy works with your job as a particular ship. There's a huge long list of all the changes, usually due to the part of your spotting damage and potential damage. So that's something which is actually good. They're continually working on the economy, trying to tweak it and make it a little bit better. So that's actually good that they are doing this. After everything was said and done, we brought 205,737 silver, and overall not too bad. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead, jump into the war, and take a look at the Udaloi stats. See you there. All right, everyone, welcome back to the port, and I will have to say I'm not gonna miss this ship. Whatever reason, just me and the ship do not get along. I mean, granted, yeah, as you see, I can have fairly decent games, just I don't know why, and maybe it's due to the captain not fully tiered up. But just me and this Udaloi just do not get along. It's not a bad ship. She's very similar to her previous tier 9 on the main line back when it was all one join. But she's a little bit different. Her main difference is her AA. She does have the ability to actually run defensive AA, which I highly recommend because it's really nice to have. So let's actually quickly look at the stats and go from there. Survivability, 18,800, which is pretty decent, especially considering she's kind of a big boat. She's not as small and nimble as, say, the Fletcher is, or the Yugamo for that matter. Actually, I don't know how she compares to the German Tier 9. I haven't got there yet, but yeah, we'll see. But she's kind of big, but she has a nice big health pool. I believe the German Tier 9s has more health than the Udaloi. Armor is, I mean, 13 to 16 millimeters. It's nothing too extravagant, so not really worth mentioning that much. Main guns, you have 3 dual 130 millimeters. They have a 4-second reload time. Their turn time is 10.3 seconds. Max dispersion is 115, and for whatever reason, this is at 14.6 kilometers. Sometimes I really don't feel like the guns actually are very accurate. They tend to disperse quite frequently. At least that's my experience whenever I play this ship. Max HE damage is 1900 with a 10% fire chance. Max AP damage is 2600, so any broadside cruiser or battleship, and they're already set ablaze, probably should point this out. Getting that fire and getting that dot damage is really necessary. But broadside AP works pretty good, especially close up. You can citadel. I've even citadeled a Hindenburg, as you saw there. So actually really cool that you can do that. Initial AP and HE shell velocity is 900 meters per second, so very straight to target. Has that nice speed on the shells, so very straight to target. And I have to say, if you guys haven't noticed, this is the new port they just recently added in. I can't even think what the name is. Shirushima base. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Probably did not. Someone probably is slapping their foreheads right there. So guns are pretty decent. Obviously you don't have like the Haberdosh guns, and whenever you're facing against a Haberdosh, it can kick your butt if you're not careful. A Haberdosh can definitely kick your butt if you're not too careful. Torpedoes, you have 3 quintuple 530 millimeters. You have 2 that are normal mount, as far as one being starboard and one being port, while you have a central line torpedo mount, which can obviously fire both ways. So if you need to, you can drop 2 off a side and then turn around and drop off your third. They have a 8-kilometer range. The reload time is 129 seconds. Max damage is 14,600. Moving on to AA defense. Once again, the Udaloi is fairly different from her previous tier. Her AA is not too bad. You have 7 dual 25 millimeters with a range of 3.7 kilometers, and average damage is 50. Then you do have 2 quintuple 37 millimeters. Average damage is 29 with a 4.2 kilometer, and then you do have your main turrets. Average damage is 44 with a 6.2 kilometer. So your AA is definitely a little bit better than previously. Once again, it comes down to the fact that you also have the ability to run AA Madness, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Maneuverability, not too bad, 40 knots, not as quick as obviously the Haberdosh. I don't know actually how fast the Tashkent is, so I can't really say on that matter. I think the Tashkent's obviously a little bit quicker than the Udaloi. Turning circle radius is 610 meters. Rudder shift time is 5.3 seconds. Rudder shift time is a little bit slow, and her turning circle radius is pretty big, so that is something to keep in mind. You kind of want to keep that distance. Even though she has 8-kilometer range torpedoes, her concealment does not allow for invisifiring torpedoes unless the ship is heading towards you. 8-kilometer range on sea and 3.6 kilometer by air, so you still are pretty much a gunboat. Treat her like a gunboat and you should do just fine. Moving on to the modules, what I would say to get first is the range. Getting that additional range really allows you to play this a little bit better. Having to sit a little bit further back, you actually outrange a Haberdosh. So that can prove important, but obviously trying to hit a Haberdosh at your max range is slightly difficult, to say the very least. Then obviously go for the B-hole, which gives you additional health and AA mounts. And then obviously the last thing is your torpedoes. This will actually bring your torpedo mounts from triple to quintuple. So you get additional torpedoes. They obviously will take longer to reload. But with that, you do also have additional range, but they're obviously a little bit slower at 66 knots. But you have essentially 6 more torpedoes to let go than previously. Now, going to the consumables, defensive AA fire. This replaces your engine boost. So I still recommend defensive A. Now, the thing is, you don't always see a carrier, especially if a carrier does. If you do see a carrier, for that matter, this is a godsend whenever you meet a enemy carrier. Obviously, this will throw off their drops whenever they come in, so it is very, very nice to have. As far as upgrades, very, very similar. Main batteries mod reduces the reload time. Very nice, very beneficial for a gunboat, which the Udaloi essentially is. Now, my captain... Oh, I got a funny story about this captain. So, for a while now, and if you look at the top right, you can see my XP is down at 29,000. If you go back a few videos, you should see my XP up around 300,000, something like that. I believe one day I was just looking, seeing how many points I would need to get another 4 points, because he was a 10-point captain. And instead, when I was looking at it, I was, doing this, seeing how many, and instead of hitting close, I hit train, and I used essentially over 300,000 free XP to bring my Udaloi captain up to a 3-point captain, or better yet, a 16-point captain. So yeah, not particularly happy with that. But anyways, quickly look at the things. I went for priority target. Everyone will probably know by now that I really do like this. This is very nice to know. Then obviously last stand. I'm not overly concerned with the guns. The guns turn pretty decent. They're not the quickest, but they're not the worst. So I really don't recommend expert marksman that much. Maybe if you have 2 additional points and you really don't see anything else that you think would be useful. Even though having jack of all trades would be nice. Then basics firing training. Actually, better yet, I would almost say demolition expert would prove very beneficial. Now, I went for advanced firing training. This obviously increases your range, which once again is very nice for the Udalois sitting at a further distance. This also buffs your AA. I probably will get concealment expert. I don't quite know. I'm really thinking about it. But now we're actually moving on to the Udaloi, so we'll see how that turns out. Then the last point I have is basics firing training. Now, unfortunately for me, this captain was put on essentially at tier 8. So normally I would have the entire tier, like from tier 1 through tier 10, to have time to actually grind him up to be a 19 or 20 point captain, as it used to be 19-point captain. So unfortunately he kind of got the short end of the staff, and you really feel it when you are just throwing a new captain on a high tier ship. Having those captain skills are very beneficial. But anyways, I'm actually going to end this off here. So thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zaijian.